Good afternoon, everybody. This is Hunter Mozingo bringing you your daily market insight video for Monday, November 8th, about 10 minutes after market close here in Jacksonville, Florida, approximately 4:09 p.m. Eastern Time at the current moment. And in today's video, we're going to talk about a quiet day in the markets for the indices, but a big move in a lagging sector and really in a couple of different sectors. We're going to look at those charts as we get into this. Plus, we're going to look at a couple of the portfolio moves we made today, some of the leaders, some of the laggards, per usual for the Monday video. So let's get right into it, folks. What just happened? Indices quiet, G5 and crypto strong. We're going to look at some of the best sectors of the day, some of the strongest stocks, like I said, in just a moment here. But before we do that, performance as always. G5 up a little less than 1%. Like I said, strong today, led the indices we track, as you can see here. S&P, a little bit of a yawn today, right up 0.09%. The Q's down about 0.1%. Dow up about a third. Mid caps up about the same as the S&P, 0.1 roughly, and the Russell 2000 up about a fifth of a percent. So like I said, not much action on the indices themselves. They really didn't move much, honestly, throughout the day. Nothing crazy by any means. But we did see some really kind of some strong, crazy moves in some stocks, particularly in one stock that we trimmed today. We're going to look at that in just a second. But before we do, market state still an uptrend. There's been no change there. Secondly, no change to the trend gauge either. Everything still remains the same on all four time frames, or all three time frames, and market leaders, right? All still bullish. No change there. So before I get to the charts, very quickly, let me highlight Revere for one moment. This is myself in the middle. I say it every time. If you have anything that comes up, any questions, any comments about any of the stocks, anything I've said, please send me an email. I'd be happy to respond to you and answer your questions. If you're interested in what Revere does as a company, what our strategy is, what our investment style and approach is, please email myself. You can also email Dan, Tim, Meryl, Alex, or Don at revereasset.com as well. So let's get right to the charts. We're going to start with the S&P here. So really flat today, more or less. So not much has changed since when I did the video Friday, other than the fact that these moving averages are continuing to try and catch up, more or less going sideways today, up really a nominal amount. So the S&P, kind of the same story. We're sitting around the same levels of extension that we were on Friday. S&P about 5% from the 50, a little under 3% from the 21. Not absurd by any means, but something to be aware of. Don't be surprised if you see a pullback or you see some pause and some rest in the market. We have had quite a run here since 1014, right? So QQQ, it's going to be essentially the same story, more or less flat on the day. Didn't really do anything, just kind of taking a breather right here under 400. Remember, we are more extended on the Qs, about 6 to 6.5 from the 50 and 4% from the 21. And we've also now got the 21 moving up right horizontal with this previous pivot of 382.78. We talked about that last week with the S&P. SPY's 21 was crossing up and through that 454 area. So you got the same thing happening now with the Qs. IWM, same thing here, really not moving much, up about a little less than a third of a percent. Same in the same realm in regards to extension, 7.5 from the 50, about 5 from the 21. Small caps have a tendency to stay more extended, though. We discussed that on Friday. You can see they were pretty extended here when they broke out of a range, as you can see, going back to last November. So keep that in mind with small caps, but holding on above this 240 level for the time being, that would be the first level I would be watching here on the IWM to see if that flips to support. If 240 could hold, or these previous highs here. NVY, pretty much the same as IWM, a little less extended, closer to 6% from the 50, 3.5 from the 21, but continuing its move, just not really making a big move today. And then DIA, the least extended of the major indices, only 4% from the 50, 2% from the 21, but continues to trend higher. So all major indices continue to look good and look as they should. We do, before we get into the individual stocks, I do want to touch base on TLT and the dollar. So we actually had TLT come off the lows today. doing pretty much what you would want it to if you're bullish stocks that aren't necessarily banks, right? So when TLT goes up, that's typically good for the broader market, good for risk on stocks. So TLT bouncing off of the lows today, and then UUP down a little bit today. Nothing crazy, but a decent move for the dollar. So a good backdrop for equities today as the day progressed. Let's get into the charts here. We're going to talk about a couple of trades we made today in Grotection. We did add a little bit to net earlier this morning, just a very small add, but increasing the position. One of, if not the strongest stock in the market. It's right up there in the top 3 or 5, I would say at the very least. And you can see the great action today. It just reported earnings and essentially bounced off the 8-day moving average more or less, undercut it by a little bit. But this is the type of reaction you want to see following a bad candle like this on Friday. So net, we added a little bit today, started a new position in FTNT today to get some exposure back to the cybersecurity area. And also we started a new position in MSOS. Now this is the cannabis ETF. I know it did finish pretty poorly here. However, this is a big changing character on the back of some legislative headlines here for cannabis and weed stocks, but trading the most shares by a long shot it has ever traded in its existence. 30 is a good little line in the sand here on this name. You can see going back through its history, this 30 area should be pretty important, and it just so happens to correspond with the 50-day moving average. So MSOS weed stocks, we took a small position here, but certainly a big change in character, getting back above the 50. We'd like to see some continuation, possibly get through the high of today. I'll set an alert here while we're on the video, 31.58. But this is something to pay attention to. You don't see this extremely often on ETFs, but just a big time change in volume character over the last 2 days, looking for any type of continuation, respect of this 30 level, respect of the 50-day, and then a push through today's high is what you want to see here on MSOS. And then a trim we made today on something that was absurdly strong. AMD having a monster day not long after last week, and NVIDIA had a monster day. So AMD up 10%. We took a little bit of profits here on AMD after it's made a very strong move since this reclaim of the 8-day exponential moving average here. Just an absolutely insane day for AMD, taking a little bit of profits there. So let's go to some of the rest of the positive names from today. We saw steel stocks act really well today. Steel Dynamics, STLD, NUE, which is what I have here, up nicely, about 3.5% on above average volume. Cleveland Cliffs is another name, up as well, about 5%, at least holding up, not really finishing at the top of the range, but holding the move. So steel stocks having a good day today. Another semiconductor name having a great day, AMBA, currently our top individual stock holding in Grotection, and acting like it should, acting like the leader. Also another one of those names that's up there in the top 3 or 5 in the market at the moment. A few more here. Datadog up about 3% or a little over 3% today. Nice follow through after earnings here. Matador and Fang, I know I talked about these on Friday. That light volume today on Matador, but up about 3%, was up 4 to 4.5 at one point, confirming back above that 8-day exponential, and also getting above this little high right here, 44.64. And then Fang, as I mentioned, also up today. We saw XOP, oil and gas exploration, one of the stronger sectors today, so to be expected that they would be up. Crypto stocks were very strong. I mentioned that. So MARA, one of the miners, up 18% today. There are some other miners out there that are smaller. They were also up today. You also have GBTC up about 8% today. Very nice action there. And then ETHE also up 5% today. So crypto stocks, anything related to cryptocurrency, saw some boost today. And then your actual cryptocurrency and securities like GBTC, ETHE, and some of the new ETFs also having a good day today. I mentioned XOP was really strong. We'll look at that really quick. I say really strong, stronger than the market for sure, right? Up 1.6. Also had SOX very strong, which you would think, as you saw with AMD and AMBA, up 1.3%. So SOX and XOP, two of the strongest sectors out there. And then a last one on the positive side of things here, EXPE, Expedia, showing really nice follow through today. This is one that just did report earnings, as you can see here. One of the reopening plays. There's been some steam being gained there on some headlines that have been announced. We saw some of the airlines and cruise lines gain some traction last week. And now see Expedia following through to the upside after their earnings. So some of those reopening plays gaining some strength as we move into the end of the year here. Some of the losers for the day, Tesla down about 5% or so. They did respect the 8-day, or Tesla did respect the 8-day exponential moving average, got back above it. However, and it did close above it. So Elon went on Twitter and did a poll about should he sell 10% of his Tesla stock, and essentially I believe the verdict right now is yes. So that's having some adverse impact on Tesla stock. But if you've been following Tesla for a while, you know Elon tweets impacting the stock price is not something new. We've seen it before. So a little bit of a flashback to last year maybe today, as we saw Tesla stock impacted by Elon's Twitter adventures. Affirm really looked great today, was up almost near 180 early this morning with some big buying coming in, some above average buying. But volume really tapered off after hours, and then so did price, and it's moving after hours, as you can see here. Not sure why per se, but ended up finishing at the lows of the day. Not the greatest action here on Affirm as the day progressed, even though it started out very promising. Same story for Airbnb, a gap up that finished at the lows of the day, was up 4% this morning, while Affirm was up about 6 or 7%. Airbnb was up 4%. Both finished very poorly at the end of the day. Doesn't mean it's the end of the world for the stocks, but it's just not what you want to see necessarily. Celsius, another laggard, down about 3.5% today. Nothing wrong with it, still above the 8-day, but down nonetheless. This one does kind of march to the beat of its own drum sometimes, so keep that in mind. And then the losing sectors of the day, XLY, consumer discretionary, has been on a massive run, down about 1.5% today. And then XLU, utilities, down about 1.5% today. So those are the big losers from the actual sectors today. So that's going to wrap up Monday's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. I will see you on Thursday's video as well as the podcast this weekend. Hope everybody has a great week. Thank you.